Mambition, woohoo!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mambition. I'm Alex.
And Tiffany.
Hi. Today we've got a really fantastic guest with us. So I'm going to just give you a quick summary of Linda Scott's fantastic skills and experience. So Linda has been Namibia's High Commissioner to the UK since 2018. This is her second posting in London, and she's got over 30 years experience of diplomacy. She played a really pivotal role in establishing the Namibian High Commission after independence in 1990. Linda's career includes significant leadership roles and global representation in Cuba, Sweden, Belgium, Botswana, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and New York. She's also served as Vice President of the IMO Assembly, Chair of the Commonwealth Board of Governors, and President of the Women in Diplomacy Network. She's also mother of 2 grown sons. Linda, what a fantastic and incredibly long list of international postings that you've had.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
To the podcast. And
Thanks, it's lovely to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, firstly.
Well, so all of those things that you just read out now, I mean, that's really just as much of a surprise to me every time I hear it, because actually I'm just a small town girl from a place called Windhoek in Namibia. Windhoek is the capital of Namibia. And I grew up during the apartheid season when South Africa had colonized us. And so I grew up, went to school by foot and came back on foot, and nothing fancy at all. Spent all my holidays coming back to Windhoek. Even when I was at university in Cape Town, used to come back to my parents every holiday, which was 4 times a year, which is about 1,500 kilometers. And I mean, that to us was normal, long distances, big sky country, going to the desert for holidays, going to the seaside for holidays, very, very simple lifestyle. And, most of the time being barefoot as a child. And so that's basically where I came from. But the other aspect of where I came from and my story was the fact that I grew up during a war, and that I grew up as a product of that war. As a white child, white children went to separate schools from black children, and we were basically trained to be child soldiers. And people get shocked when they hear that, because nobody thinks about training 14-year-olds to march and shoot with guns as, you're training child soldiers. And that was our everyday reality. So we didn't we didn't have a set sense of the world out there, except that I was one of the fortunate ones that my dad used to listen to the BBC a lot. And I had parents who were a little bit maverick, in the sense that they didn't buy into the system, as it were. They didn't believe that there was, that it was okay to live in hate, I would say, and live in fear. Wow. And the most amazing thing, I think, is that we grew up every day, even though we had a very strict routine in the mornings. My mom got hold of books, Power of Positive Thinking and those kind of books. And we would read, every one of us had a turn to read at breakfast, and we would read for like 5-10 minutes from that
wow,
book.
Linda.
Wow.
And then we would have our breakfast and off we went to school. So that really grounded us in, if we weren't reading one of those books, we'd read from the Bible. So it was a kind of Christianity that was informed by the fact that, we love ourselves and we love other people and that kind of thing. And I can promise you, my parents did not think about it as this is an ideology that they were giving us. They simply were just kind, loving people who invited anybody who was a stranger in town to our home.
I love
And
that. I love that.
yes,
I love that, Linda. And I think thank you so much for sharing that, because I'm such a big, I suppose, advocate for understanding how childhood shapes us for good or bad.
mm,
And I love how, the themes, from your childhood, and how that's played such a key part in your the woman that you are today. And I almost felt seen when you spoke about you reading The Power of Positive Thinking, because I can see myself being that sort of mother.
I think I'm going to bring that in when I'm going to make and do some reading at
yes,
breakfast.
it does help. I promise you.
Yeah.
So I can say that now my boys are
Wow.
27, and the youngest is turning 22 in a
Yeah.
few days' time, and I'm really proud of them,
Yeah.
and it's not that somebody asked me, so how did you do it? They met my eldest son. He's now got his own company and graduated from King's College and whatnot. And I said, look here, there were definitely days.
When you say, Lord have mercy.
I like
Yeah.
that you're not just looking back with the rose tinted glasses that people
No way.
sometimes.
No way.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, so that's basically, I think, a large part of my story. Another part of my story is also that I have lived in 11 countries, and that it has impacted on me. It's probably the reason why I married the person that I married, why I got divorced from him, and why I ended up being a single mum for most of my children's lives. So that does inform a large part of who I am, as well as a couple of other trauma things that I went through as a youngster. But the point is just that I think it comes down to a belief, and this is what I actually wanted to share, is that we are all, in my view, spiritual beings having a human experience. And so so everything I've done is informed by that belief that we are not just a bunch of atoms strung together, but that we're actually, there's more to us than meets the eye, really.
Oh, that is beautiful. And I think I share similar sentiments. I've always similarly grew up in a very traditional Christian. I mean, Nigerians, we love church, we love Jesus. Like, it's just one of those things. And maybe like jollof rice as well.
Oh, yeah, great. We didn't
But,
have jollof rice, but that's wonderful.
I eat rice every day. Let's not get into all that. But no, it's interesting what you say about religion. I think I always think everyone needs something, and for some people, I generally think some people maybe they had really loving parents who nurture them, and they can fall back on that love. Some people had, like my kids now, they have amazing grandparents. They'll always have that. Growing up, very early on, we were talk about religion, talk about God, and I think now in my life, I can't necessarily say I had like loving parents in that way. So what I refer to back now is my spirituality, is my relationship with God, and the times in this life when things have really shook in, like made me really afraid. But I go back to that, and I think I love that you referred back to having something. I'd love to know that. I mean, on a sort of, can you look back on obviously growing up with your sons? Because I remember you mentioned about it, motherhood being a priority, right? And I think Alex and I were chatting just before this, and we're saying how for a lot of women who have really interesting, high-powered careers, people always think it's a case of maybe they prioritize work, or they don't think motherhood is priority. But I love that you said it is. So I'd love to know, how have you managed that? Like, just the challenges of trying to make the boys first, but still, being a professional, doing what you have to do on the surface. How have you managed behind the scenes of that?
Yeah, I guess that kind of juggle. And I
Yeah.
think especially, Linda, being a single mum and how you manage that with, to be a high commissioner, it's obviously an incredibly senior and busy, important role. How you manage to kind of juggle. And also, I guess for me as well, hearing a little bit about how you went from the kind of small town girl to the high flying career and where motherhood happened along the way?
Thank you. You know, since you asked me that question in preparing for this this conversation, I did think about it quite a lot. And so there are a couple of things. I think one of the things that I did right was, even though it was really hard, was being a very strict mother when they were small, not in a nasty way, but strict in terms of how we did things. Like, I was very disciplined with myself as well, in the sense that it was always bedtime at 7 o'clock. Sorry, getting ready, starting to get ready for bed by 7 o'clock. So by 8 o'clock, they were in bed. And the reason for that was because we lived in so many countries. I mean, the kids have lived, I think, in 9 countries, have been to 10 schools. So there had to be some things that were absolutely set in stone. And one of them was bedtime. So one time, my son asked me, why do we always have to be in bed by 8 o'clock? I said, because I give you the whole day, and by 8 o'clock, I need some mommy time. But
I feel you, Linda, there. I definitely do.
And the thing about motherhood is those, 15, 20 years that you have with them goes by so quickly. I know that when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you've got a child with a fever, it feels like a very long time. But the fact of the matter is, in a blink, it's all gone, and you sitting with empty nest syndrome. And so one of the things was being very disciplined about, those kind of things like bedtime and so on. The other was learning to be less strict. So by the time the second one came, I know that I sound contradictory, but I'll explain. When the second one came along, I wasn't so concerned anymore whether he was going to eat all his food. Like the first poor one, he like, oh my God, he's not eating, and getting upset when he doesn't want to eat his food and this kind of thing. By the time the second one came along, it's like, okay, he's not hungry. It's okay. He doesn't have to eat, And okay, does he want just to have chips and tomato sauce for the whole week? Well, that's what he's going to eat, because that's all that he can stand. And that was because, having moved around a lot, I had to deal with a lot of doctors, a lot of homeopaths, a lot of fabulous people who gave me advice. And I learned to be less concerned about those kind of things, going with what does the child feel he can deal with at this point. Another thing was that because I moved around so much, that I got psychological help for us everywhere we went. Like, the first thing you do when you get to a new place, you look for your doctor. But I also looked for the nearest child psychologist, or just even a homeopath, just so that I could have some support if my kids had challenges. And we did. I had a partner who died very suddenly in Ethiopia. And, there I had these kids with a child psychologist. And the child psychologist was like suggesting they do all these coloring things to express their emotions. And the boys were like, we don't feel like doing coloring in.
No.
So I had to realize that, what? There's a time for therapy, and there's a time when therapy is just not needed. But the bottom line was that it was there, it was available. And for example, when we lived in New York, we went through some challenges, some real challenges. And my youngest, I got him, so I first took him to a woman psychologist. He didn't resonate at all. I then took him to a man, and he literally just had 5 sessions with this guy, and he was a different character. Honestly, it just gave him the ability to see things in a way that helped him. So I really always encourage mothers to have that as a backstop. And when I have colleagues who move to a new place, I always say, look for somebody, for yourself, just to go and talk, because this is a lonely job, being a mom, and it's a lonely job moving from place to place. So too often we underestimate the impact of what's happening around us, and too often we overestimate our own strength. So I think that's the one aspect. The other aspect I think that's very important that I feel I always want to let moms know about is that there is a time where you literally have to throw everything aside and just be a mother. Where you just have to say, okay, the work, you just have to tell your boss, look, you know what, my kid needs me right now. And I'm sorry, I just can't be there for you. I know that you want me to do X, Y, and Z, but please, can we find a way to be a bit more flexible so that I can do my work and look after my kid? Because sometimes your kid just needs you. And it might be that your child doesn't show that he or she obviously needs you, but you as a mom, you can feel it, my eldest, for example, went through a very tough time, as did my youngest at a different period. But I literally he wasn't with me, so I used to phone him. And if I could just judge by the tone of his voice or what he was saying that things were not okay, I either got him on the bus to come home for the weekend, or I would just rent a car and go up and spend a night. We were in the US, so he was about 300 miles from where I was. And it was tough. But, there are times when you just have to mother in a big way.
I really love that, Linda. And I think what you're saying there about needing to maintain boundaries and knowing when to put your children first. Tiffany and I were actually talking about this earlier, that there does need to be a lot more flexibility in terms of the way work is structured for women. Well, not just for women, I guess for everyone, for all parents. But in order for women to have kind of real equality, because let's face it, women are doing the kind of lion's share of childcare. So hearing somebody with such a high-powered job say that you need to kind of explore that flexibility with the people you're working with, it's really powerful, because I think people think that you get to positions like yours by being work focused, and actually you're showing that it doesn't have to be that way.
Yes, I mean, the other thing that I've learned, and I've only learned this recently, actually, and I think I want to call on all women to take notice of this, is learning how to feel. That sounds a bit weird, because we think of women as being, the big feelers, the ones who are in touch with their feelings. But the truth of the matter is, when you're an A-type personality like myself, and I'm an Enneagram 1, for those that know what Enneagram is all about, it means that, I have a tendency to be very judgy towards myself as well, and not allow myself, to really to be tired. And recently, I've acquired a wellness coach, and it's taken me almost 3 months to be able to say, I'm tired.
Wow.
And, because in my life, I've never been able to say, I'm tired, so I want to take some time out. And I think that is a mistake too often. We feel tired, but what we do, instead of saying or recognizing the tiredness, or recognizing the frustration or the anger, whatever, well, if you're anything like me, you just go and find a piece of chocolate and or see what's in the cupboard or in the fridge or something.
Linda, I'm a big stress eater, so I feel it.
And so it's been quite a journey for me to learn that, what, it's not just about exercise, because of course it's one of the things that I feel very strongly about is the need to exercise, even if it's just qigong 15 minutes of qigong, or 15 minutes of yoga, or 15 minutes of stretching, or just walking around the block. But you do need that kind of self-discipline of, I need to do something that moves this body. But at the same time, you also need to have a moment where you can stop and say, I'm feeling tired. Damn it, I'm feeling fed up, and okay, so this is how I'm feeling. So now what?
I
So what
love
am I going to
Permission
do
to
with
I
it?
feel.
love that. I love that. And I think it's I suppose what you said there, I think sadly sometimes we think being human is like weak, but it's a strength. It's a sign of strength to recognize that you have not everything has, like, resources, time, energy. It's all there's a level to it, right? Nothing is unlimited. I suppose that's what I'm trying to get at. So is there anything else that you do aside from walking, or throughout your life? Can you think of the things you've done to help yourself? Do you pray? Do you I know you mentioned about psychological help. Is there anything else that you've done behind the scenes to just be Linda that we see now, and it's formidable and it's incredible?
Weightlifting.
Weightlifting. Oh, I love that. Show us the guns.
I started
Talking
weightlifting.
Tiffany's language here.
I
Yes.
got myself a personal trainer,
All
and
right.
I started doing weightlifting
Oh, wow.
about 9 months ago.
Wow.
And it's a game changer.
Wow.
It's a game changer. And I really think every woman should do weightlifting twice a week.
Oh, wow. I'm feeling shamed
You
here.
should put that in the law.
Okay, so here's
Shamed
the
but
thing.
inspired.
No,
Wow, I love
I
that.
never thought I would say this. I mean, this is just the weirdest thing that I've ever said in my life. But I don't know. You see, about in November last year, almost a year ago, I
Yeah.
woke up in the middle of the night and I said, something's got to change. And I thought, well, where do I start? And I went and I signed up with a matchmaker, first of all. Not necessarily even to meet somebody, but just to start forcing myself to think differently about life.
Wow.
And to start doing fun things with people that I didn't necessarily know, because I was just working. And I knew this wasn't right. I knew it wasn't healthy. And then I said, well, what else can I do? I want to be strong. I want to be flexible. So I went up the road and joined up with the nearest personal trainer, who's just a fabulous guy from Sierra Leone, and who, I tell you what, I don't think I've sweated this much in my whole life.
No, but it's good for you. I know, so
Very
many.
good.
I mean, I'm the same as you. I think, I always think I don't have time to exercise, which is why I exercise every day. Simply because, I don't want to go into this too much, but for the last 2 to 3 years, I've not really taken a break from work, but I actually feel okay. And I think that's because of exercise. I think that's really helped me to just kind of
Yes.
release some bad energy and just feel strong, feel like, I'm able. If I can get
Yes.
fit, if I can do weights that seem impossible at the beginning, then I can do other things that are amazing in my life and seem out of reach. So I don't know if you
Yes.
get a similar kind of
Mm.
like mindset shift when you're exercising.
100%. I went to visit my brother in Namibia recently. He lives in the desert. And he has a very different lifestyle to me. He makes movies, but he also lives in the desert. So, and he's completely off grid. So,
Wow.
when he's at his place, he has a lifestyle that is so mind blowing to me. When it was Monday morning, and he says to me, "So, what are you planning today?" I said, "No, I thought I would read, maybe do some writing, relax." He said, "Come, let's go up the mountain." So him and his girlfriend, they packed a picnic, and the three of us went up the mountain, and we had to climb through these crevices and climb up these, like, I mean, at one point he literally had to tell me, "Okay, Linda, put your foot here and then grab my hand and I'll pull you up." Those kind of things,
Wow.
And it was so incredible. And I said to him, 6 months ago, I could not have done that.
Mm.
But just because I've been doing the gym so regularly, I feel so much stronger, and I felt the confidence coming. And that was a real fun thing. And I thought, you know what, I feel like I've manifested that kind of fun stuff that is so out of my normal way of thinking, because I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, I've got to change something. So, you do get into a kind of a rut, and then you get to the point where you just like, something's got to change. And then the angel sitting on the sofa with a notebook, sits up and says, aha, at last, and then suddenly the angel arranges things, and your whole life starts showing a lot of different things.
I love that
popping up.
focus on fun. I feel like we should all aim to have more fun in
Very,
our life
very
as well.
important.
I
Yes.
could do with more fun.
Yes. In fact, I had a friend of mine who contacted me, and she said, Linda, this was many years ago. She said, oh, my husband and I were going through this tough time. She said, have you got any advice for me? I said, who the hell am I to give you advice? I said, but let me ask you one thing. When last did the two of you have fun together? When did you laugh together? And, this is important. I think as a woman, as a mom, as an ambitious woman, you do need to work fun in. And the unfortunate reality is that our calendar is our best friend, because if you don't schedule it in, it's not going to happen. So,
Yeah.
ladies, please schedule your
It is
fun,
some
because
fun, yes.
when you schedule it in, it does help.
Yeah.
You might think, oh my God, now I have made a plan to meet with Janet. I'm making a name up now. And you know what? She talks so much. I really am so tired. But you go along and you see Janet, and you've got so much
Yeah.
to talk about and so much to catch up on. Or you might just go and meet somebody you've never met before in a completely different field, and you end up just laughing, or going to see a play that you would never normally have seen, or doing something completely out of your normal way, because you've scheduled it in. And so I am a great believer in scheduling, to the point that I've actually signed up for a workshop in November, which is basically a scheduling workshop for next
Oh, wow.
year. Yes.
You know how to have fun, Linda. No, but I get what you're saying there. I think that's a really good idea. I'm quite good at making plans to make people have fun. I have the attitude of, a bit like Field of Dreams, if I build it, they will come. If I invite them, they will come.
Yes.
And I made a big group of people go to a daytime clubbing event for the over 30s.
Oh, awesome.
And we had a brilliant time. Tiffany and I danced on the stage.
It was epic. I mean, we've got a video of us on a stage, like going, oont, oont, oont. Won't show the kids though. We're responsible mothers.
Yeah.
But I really get what you're saying, that, if you say to someone, oh, should we meet up? We really need to meet soon. It doesn't happen.
No.
You have to put in a concrete date. You have to say, right, I'd like to do this. Who wants to come? And give people a date that it's happening.
Yes. Very, very, very important. And you know what? It's also good for your mental health, actually, because you've now scheduled something in, so you know what's happening, and you can shift everything else around so that is a priority in your life. I mean, in my job, because I have these extreme schedules, I have now learned that I pack these things into my calendar. And you know what? If there's a meeting or something that's happening at that time, and I've got something scheduled that's for me, I just say, well, hard cheese, I am going to that thing, and it's for me. And sometimes that guilt comes up, because, oh my God, what if this is an important work event? But what I now do is I just say, I will be in the right place at the right time. And even when I'm late, even this morning, I was running slightly late, and I just said, I'm going to be there at the right time. So you just have to affirm that and just take the worry, take the fear, take the anxiety out of it and park it on the side, and you'll see it will all work out.
Do you feel like the more you push back on events that you've got something scheduled so you can't make an event, do you find it gets easier?
I don't push back, Alex. What I do now is I've changed my attitude. So what I notice, okay, there's 3 or 4 things kind of packed on top of each other. So there's a schedule clash. And I just say to myself, it will work out. And you know what?
Okay.
At the last couple of days, maybe, okay, obviously, if you've committed to something, or if somebody wants you to speak or something, you've got to let them know well in advance. But in general, you can delegate. You can say, no, sorry, I can't make it, and the person will completely understand. But I don't put my worry into that schedule clash anymore,
That's really
because it's
powerful.
just not worth it. I rather just, I will sometimes, so once a week, sometimes twice a week, I'll go through my schedule and see if there are any clashes, see if there's anything to be delegated, see if there's anything I need to regret or reschedule. And that's how I keep control of that, really. The thing is that we have a choice of where we want to put our time. And I find that I need at least one day a week when I'm quiet, where I don't, where I'm not thinking, where I'm not giving out a lot, where I'm even with good friends. So I do need that time where I'm just quiet, where I cook or I wash my hair or, do my underarms or whatever. But that's time that it's me time, and I'm not talking to anybody, and I'm just pampering me a bit. Or I go for a massage and then rest after the massage, So, but that only happens when you schedule it in.
I like that. I like that a lot, because I think recently I've also been thinking about this constant hamster wheel of activity, and it's just a cycle we live in now, where being busy is a thing, because I seem to be busy. Everyone's like, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. And it's like, are we really busy? Or are we just busy doing the wrong things or trying to do everything? Which is why I was saying the other day that I've started thinking a lot about making everything a period in my life. So, I can't do everything, but there's a lot I want to do. So number one, what I do now is I set things into periods. So right now I'm in a period of my life, I'm very much work focused. That could be a period that will be probably about 6 to 12 months where work will be my priority. Obviously, family is ahead of that. But what I mean is, like, in terms of if something else was to come up and it's not necessarily work related, I'm willing to sacrifice that for the work, just because I have certain goals I've set myself for work and my finances. And then once in the next 6 to 12 months, I might say, you know what, this is a fun period where I'll still work as hard, but I'll be able to say, okay, no, I'm going to go and do that during the day or do that during the day. And I think when I found that doing that's allowed me to kind of just not feel like I've got so much going on, but because you can be very busy, right? Not make much progress. And it's just a sense of just putting things in stages. So I don't know if there's anything else, like what you said that there about, scheduling fun, but is there anything else that you would recommend how that's helped you to just not be busy being busy, but being busy in a productive way, perhaps?
Well, what came up for me when you spoke, Tiffany, I love what you just said. Shonda Rhimes.
Yes.
I hope she's everybody's hero, just in the sense that she's a woman who really knows what's important to her. I say that because apparently I heard that she on weekends is unreachable from Friday night up to Sunday night.
Wow.
And if you call her phone on the weekend, you get a message saying, it's the weekend, I'm with my family, please get a life.
I love it.
Yes.
So it might be true, it might not be true, but I love it anyway.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think that, you know, just look at all her achievements. She makes massive video, movies and series and all that. She's not an unbusy woman, and she has a family. So it's that is how she's chosen to compartmentalize her life, you know. And not everybody can do that. But I think it is something to aim for. When you have your time off, it's your time off and you are not reachable. So please, if you're calling that during that time, get a life.
I think that she should sell that voicemail, that
Love
answer phone
that.
message. I would monetize that. I think,
That's true.
you know, I would
Yes.
pay to have that on my
Yeah.
voicemail. Shonda Rhimes telling people to get a life.
Wow.
Yes. So I think that's important. But I want to add something, Tiffany, and that is to say that I have found having a life coach life-changing. I would say I'm a qualified life coach myself, and at the moment I'm not coaching anyone, but I do have a permanent life coach, and sometimes I have more than one coach in a different area. So at the moment, I have a personal trainer, and I have a life coach, and I also have a health coach. So the health coach is for us a period, it's not a long term period, but I needed somebody who helped me to focus on my eating. So I wanted to lose some kilos. I wanted to get a handle on how I was eating and understand it. And in the process, came to the realization that actually I eat when I'm tired and I don't sleep enough. So what do we do? And I don't drink enough water. So what do we do about those things? You know, so that's what she's helping me with. The life coach is helping me just have perspective on things. And I think everybody who's in a position of leadership should have a life coach, because very often, you know, even if you meet with somebody once every 6 weeks, it helps you to just have a perspective on how things are going in your own life. And you get all sorts of coaches. You can have, you can go to coaching weekends or coaching weeks, or there's a lot of free material online. You know, you can use, I started off on this path using The Journey with Brendan Bays, I think it was many, many years ago, and Louise Hay. Their books have been life-changing for me, and they're all about the same thing, helping you to get a perspective on how you do things and reminding you to do what can serve you personally, you know, writing your goal, and recognizing when you have some discontent and when you have some longing, and what do you do with that conflict in your life, and then what kind of goal would you really like, whether it is just to have see your child happy. That's a goal. So I always tell people when they talk about, oh, my daughter doesn't want to talk to me or this and that, then I say, well, what would you love? You know, and so it's about finding a coach. There's a lot on Spotify, people like Karen, what is her surname? Powell, Powell. She does these amazing podcasts about her work, and she has a lot of free stuff. Lisa Nichols, an absolute hero to me. She has a lot of free stuff on the web, you know. So I think everybody should just use that material and make some me time, even if it's 5 minutes in the morning or 5 minutes in the evening, just to focus on, well, what is it that is important to me? And that helps a lot.
I've been writing all of those names down. I'm going to go and check them out. I think both Tiffany and I, we really enjoy that kind of self-help and self-development. So I found it really beneficial, and I love a list and I love goal setting. But I think you talking us through how you got into that is going to be really useful for the people listening. And it's really amazing. Thank you.
I just have one last thing that I really want to add, and that is menopause nobody talks about menopause, and I think we must talk about menopause. Younger women like the two of you need to know what's waiting for you.
I'm
that you are
41, Linda, so
prepared.
I think it's not that far away.
Oh, I already feel menopausal sometimes, to be fair. So
Yeah.
But please
So-
do share, because
Yeah.
it's something that I feel like I hardly know anything about.
Yes.
And actually, Tiffany and I have looked to, for I think it's menopause awareness, we are looking to get somebody to come on and talk about it, but we'd love to hear your perspective.
Well, I think the first thing is just to know when you start, like a friend of mine sat in a meeting next to me the other day, and she said she's been to the doctor for and for medication, and the doctor said there's nothing wrong with you. And I said, my darling, you're in menopause. And she basically gets, her heart starts pumping, just about wants to jump out of her chest. And she doesn't know what's wrong with her. I said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You've got a stupid doctor. Go and find another doctor. Your doctor should be telling you you've probably got menopause. The doctor was telling her it's in her head. So I felt I wanted to emphasize that if a doctor tells you it's in your head, say, thank you very much, bless you, I'm leaving you and you will never see me again, and go and find yourself a doctor that will believe you and that will support you. There are so many amazing doctors out there, whether they are homeopathic doctors or whether they're allopathic doctors, it doesn't matter, or whether they're a Chinese doctor. There is somebody to listen to you, and or an Ayurvedic doctor. There is somebody that will help you with your symptoms. And I think that whether it's HRT that you choose or whether it is going natural, just the awareness of, my body this is a woman's body and it has changes that are normal. And I don't sometimes understand them, but there's a lot on YouTube, there's a lot out there, and I can talk to older women. So older women are there to be spoken to, and you speak about your symptoms, whether it's suddenly having heavy periods or whether it's suddenly having no periods for a while. But the point is just to feel that you're okay about talking about this body, because let us not ever feel ashamed or embarrassed about this amazing body that we live in, and menopause can mean that you end up waking your husband in the middle of the night to scream at him because he didn't pay the bills, and when you find yourself doing something like that, girlfriend, you need help.
Love that. You heard it from Linda, y'all. Go get some help. Yeah. No, I like that. And it's true, we do go through a lot of changes. I think I have one last question. I don't know if Alex will as well, but I know obviously, you live your life, you do your best, but is there anything you would do differently, or is there anything you would maybe say to your younger self?
So I thought about that, and I thought, would I have married somebody else? No, because then I wouldn't have the children that I have. But I think the bottom line is what I would have loved to do is to allow myself to feel.
Okay.
And allow myself to, once I feel something, to say, okay, this is what I feel. And it's fine that I'm angry. It's fine that I'm disappointed. It's fine that I'm sad, or it's fine that I'm happy, but I'm allowing myself to feel what I'm feeling, and then to write about it or to just be quiet with that feeling, to just allow it to come up and pause before taking an action, pause before going for retail therapy and spending money on stuff that you don't need, or eating a chocolate that you don't really like the taste of that much, whatever your go-to is. But the point is, I really think what I would have loved, the skill I would have liked to have more of, was feeling, allowing myself to feel.
I love that. Linda, it's been, I think I could talk to you all afternoon. And I feel like I don't just have one more question, I have a million more questions. So I think we will leave it up and let you have the last word there, because that is really profound and really, really good advice.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's just been fabulous chatting with you, Tiffany and Alex, and wishing you and your listeners all the best. And I look forward to continuing to listen to your wonderful podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Linda. It's been fantastic. Really, really fantastic. I've enjoyed it so much.
Yes, likewise. Thanks a lot, Linda. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.